Hello and welcome to gaming and welcome to this video on UFL, the UFL gameplay trailer reveal that was broadcast tonight live on their YouTube channel. I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on what we saw, and I want to know what you guys think as well. Before we get into this though, please do consider subscribing to Welcome to Gaming for future updates on UFL as well as lots of other sports games. So first things first, I actually watched this after, so I didn't watch it live, I was busy, and I saw that it was 18 minutes long and I thought, wow, 18 minutes, they've really gone in depth with this gameplay. Unfortunately, that's not actually what happened. So we get a lot of PR talk at the start of the video, explaining who Strikers Inc. are and what they do, where they've came from, who's on the team. And I can kind of see why they've done this. They are the new kids on the block. They're obviously going to be trying to compete with FIFA and with Konami's eFootball, long-established footballing franchises. So you can see why they've laid out this sort of PR start to get people on board. Having said that, we were expecting gameplay, and for most of the video to be PR is actually somewhat of a disappointment, but I can understand why they did this. They then stuck a developer's diary into this live event. It was the second dev diary. They've already done one on their YouTube channel, but that was also tacked on to this. Again, not really what we were expecting, but it did show us some animations being captured for the game. They were talking mainly about like the cutscenes of players celebrating and things like that in a football match. We saw, obviously, whilst we were doing that, a lot of mocap. We then got a little bit of a breakdown on what to expect from the game in the online realm, the fair-to-play aspect that Strikers Inc. keep mentioning. This was probably the best thing that they actually told us about or showed us. So they said it's a global online league with a fair matchmaking system. It will pair you with somebody around your level and they won't game balance the actual game. So this is a comment on something that happens in FIFA and in eFootball / PES. Over the years, a lot of players have commented on how it feels like the game is balancing. It will kind of rubber band to give people an opportunity to stay in the game. Strikers Inc. are saying that's not going to happen in their online. It is going to be balanced matchmaking to make the games as fair as possible, and there shouldn't be any need for any game balancing or rubber banding during the gameplay. We've all been there, we've played online matches where we've been absolutely decimating our opponent. We've had 18 shots on goal and our opponent has maybe 2 or 3 and they take away a 1-0 win. It can be really frustrating. There's also the times where you can be like 4-0 up at half time and it'll feel like the second half everything's just against you. It feels like the game has tilted the pitch down towards your goal and your opponent will have a late surge and a comeback into the match. And these are the things that Strikers Inc. are looking to avoid, and that's a really big plus point if, of course, they do pull that off and don't implement any game balancing. So there's going to be a Your Club, which is basically the FIFA Ultimate Team, the My Club, what you're kind of used to, so it should be a seamless transition for most of us going over to UFL. There's also added game modes of 2v2s or 3v3s, which I found really fun playing on Pro Evolution Soccer in the last few years, and that will be really cool to jump in with friends. There's going to be missions and challenges, hopefully kind of like a scenario mode. I always bang on about scenario modes. One of my favourite things to do in sports games is a scenario mode, so missions and challenges could be cool, a cool little addition. They could also be missions for you to complete in your club, so maybe scoring a set amount of goals for a week or something like that. We then get a list of partnerships, which again we already know about. There's nothing new here, but of course they're wanting to broadcast this to the biggest audience possible, and the gameplay trailer, I guess they figured they would be getting the most eyes on the product right now with this, so they go back over their partnerships. Obviously we know West Ham, Monaco, Besiktas, Sporting, Rangers, I think Shakhtar Donetsk were in there as well, and Celtic, who were the most recent announcement for the partnerships. They then cut to #United, of course, a big success story of a kind of a social media, YouTube style football team that started up and has made it to being a semi-pro club. Really cool story, and it looks like UFL's sponsoring them, so that was just a little spotlight for #United. Next up was the ambassadors, and again we know 4 of these, but there's a reveal during this part of the show. So Zinchenko, Lukaku, Firmino and Kevin De Bruyne, we'll go through some of their stats, some of their title wins and things like that. The big announcement at the end of this though is the 5th ambassador, and it is Cristiano Ronaldo, which is a big get. I mean, to be fair, some of these ambassadors already are pretty big deals, and Cristiano Ronaldo being the big reveal was pretty cool. It was a little bit awkward, the reveal. You could tell that they were actually talking to each other. That was a little bit cringe, but yeah, pretty big deal for UFL to get Cristiano Ronaldo. It does feel like a lot of these ambassadors and teams that they've signed up are ones that were with eFootball or Pro Evolution Soccer previously. Rangers and Celtic have often been in with Pro Evolution Soccer, and I think some of the other ones like Besiktas and Donetsk have been as well. And that's the one thing that I think about with UFL is that they're going to be targeting the eFootball market. eFootball's had a really bad launch, a really murky transition to the free-to-play model, and I think a lot of players might be looking at UFL as an alternative. So now on to the main event, which was the gameplay, and we didn't really get an awful lot. We got 2 minutes of what was really fast cut, fast edited gameplay, and I have to say, for a gameplay reveal trailer, I was a little bit disappointed in what they showed. You guys can let me know if you feel differently. I thought that the gameplay that they showed looked a little snappy, some of it, a lot like what you see in FIFA. I've not played FIFA for a long time, but I do watch other streamers play it, and I always think that it looks very snappy, the way that the players move around the pitch. And you don't get that with Pro Evolution Soccer or eFootball. And Pro Evolution Soccer is the main series that I've played for the last 25 years. So I did think this looked a little bit snappy at times, and I wasn't thoroughly impressed with that. But again, we can't really judge until we actually get our hands on the game to try it out. I thought the pitches looked a little bit flat and a little bit lifeless, especially on the wider camera angles. I thought some of the close-up shots, it did look a little bit better, but it didn't look as impressive as I've seen in the other games. Maybe that's a little bit harsh with this being an independent studio, being a startup, but these are just things that I've noticed and wanted to express my opinion on. I thought the crowds looked fairly decent. You saw a lot of like flags in the crowd and full models, and not like cardboard cutouts that you sometimes get in sports games. We didn't get a lot of like long shots on the crowd. Again, it was fast editing, so you didn't get a lot of chance to sort of focus in on it. But from what I saw, it looked decent. I thought the menus looked really nice and clean and sleek. Not like the eFootball menus, which have like that horrible colour palette. I think the FIFA ones are pretty clean as well, but I thought these looked really nice and simple. You don't have to go overboard with it really, and I think they've got this right. So the final stages of the video were saying how the game will come out when it's ready, but it should come out in 2022. They did say that the game is in the final stages of development. I think if they could get this game out in March, when eFootball's supposed to launch, then that would be really beneficial for them, but I don't think it's going to be quite ready in time. If they got some sort of playable demo around then, they could really latch on to the fact that eFootball's had a terrible launch, and they could challenge eFootball for some players. But yeah, we could be looking at maybe a new season launch, so around August could be a good time to launch this game as well, with the new football season starting up around then. But if they, as I say, if they could get a demo out in March and challenge eFootball, then that would be optimal for Strikers Inc. So overall, slightly disappointed really. It was a gameplay launch trailer and we didn't get a lot of gameplay, probably 2 minutes of really fast edits of the gameplay. A lot of close-ups. He did say that the close-up shots were gameplay footage, but I'm not entirely sure. I wanted more of like a general gameplay breakdown, showing us like an actual match and breaking down certain things. Maybe we'll get that later. But I did like what they said about the fair play system. The matchmaking system sounds really good. So all in all, we've just got to wait to play this really and see how it does compare. I think they do have a big chance here of taking a lot of players from eFootball. I want to know what you guys think though. Please let me know in the comments below. Were you disappointed with this gameplay trailer? Does it have you hyped for UFL? Do you think they can challenge FIFA and eFootball? Like I say, I think it's got a real chance of challenging eFootball It looks like that's the market that they're going after. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.